Very good. Four, three, two, one. Calling the meeting to order for the Fallbrook Regional Health District on March 11th at 6 p.m. We will begin with a roll call.
Actually, we don't have any online. Everybody's in-house, so we can say we have quorum.
We have quorum. Very good. We do. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Do you want to backtrack for a Pledge of Allegiance?
I would like to do that. I'll stand. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rachel? Okay, we have a commenter tonight. Hi, come on up. Hi. Rebecca.
I'm Rebecca Rader. I'm going to make this really short. I'm with Voices for Children. We're a grant recipient, and I really just came to say thank you. We're coming to the end of the grant cycle. You've helped us to provide services to 18 children living in foster care in Fallbrook. And it's been pretty amazing because the CASAs, court-appointed special advocates, investigate what's going on in the child's life. They see it. They need tutoring in school if they need to see a doctor. Many have never been to a dentist. A lot of them need help with mental health. And your grant provided one caring adult that worked with them for an entire year. So you might not ever meet these kids, but I want you to know you made a difference in their lives, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You have a wonderful organization.
Yes, you do. Thank you. And if I may extend the narrative on foster youth, Cal State San Marcos had the first national specific program for former foster youth. It's called ACEs. And they have because one of the things that happens with foster youth and with homeless youth is when they age out, there's nothing. They just go into this abyss. They have the highest, homeless especially, they have the highest rate of drug addiction, highest rate of suicide. I mean, it's through the roof. So when Cal State San Marcos provided this on-ramp for former foster youth, we got to them in their senior year in high school, junior year in high school, and said, come to us. We know how to help you. These are kids who have no guidance whatsoever on what to do after high school. And I think it's in its 15th year, and the ACEs program, and it spawned all sorts of other ACEs all across the nation. So now it's like, you better have one of these or you're not cooking, right? And that's what we want. And the completion rate is very high for 4-year degree. And I will say Palomar College and Miracosta really support the effort if they go to the community college first. So yay for caring, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Such great news. 18, we can drive around and go. 18 kids here at a safety net. Love that. Okay, thank you so much. Are there any, do we have anything else comment-wise?
Don't believe so. And we didn't have any other folks online, and we didn't receive anything via email.
Very good. Okay, I think we are now going to, he's not a school marm, he's a school man, but he's going to school us in a couple of presentations. They're going to be fascinating with Form 700 and then the legislative session update. Hello, Alex. Proceed, please.
Hi, everyone. So the first one I was going to talk about is Form 700. So this isn't part of this presentation. This is what you see on the screen is the next one. I just wanted to quickly remind everyone that your Form 700s are due on April 1st. I believe if you have any questions about who to file with, I believe Raquel is the person that you need to speak to about who to file with. If you miss the deadline, the county is going to fine you $15 per day. So just make sure not to miss that deadline. This is an annual requirement. And I wanted to highlight some of the common mistakes I see on Form 700s. So the
Alex,
first,
can I
yes,
can I just say, board members, it's in your packet and your pre-filled out form is 1, 2, 3 pages in with your name on top of it.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
You're welcome.
convenient.
so there are three common mistakes I see when board members fill out these forms. So I just want to flag them for you. And if you have any questions about how to fill out the forms, I'm always available. So feel free to ask me. But the three common mistakes are number one, people often leave out their spouse's income. So because we are in California, we're a community property state, 50% of whatever your spouse makes, owns, all that is also yours. So you'll have to report your income and your assets as well as 50% of your spouse's. So that's point one. Point two, there's a section in there about owning property within the jurisdictional boundary of the district. That does not include your home. So don't put information about your private residence in there. This is a public document. So don't put information about your home. This is other property you may own. So if you own a second house, you'll have to put in your second house if it's like a rental that you provide. Or if you own a physical, like a business, you'll have to put in that business property address. But again, don't put in your personal residence. And lastly, at the end, it's going to require you to sign and to list an address all the way at the bottom. At the bottom, do not put your private address because again, this is a public document and we don't want to let the world know what your private home address is. So instead, put the district's address as the address all the way at the bottom of that form. So those are the three things I wanted to highlight and just remind everyone to file by April 1st. And if there are no questions, I can move on to the next presentation.
Just, thanks, Alex. Just an observation. Schedules A, 1, 2, B, 700P follow, and it's been pre-filled out for us.
So it's yeah,
Just have to go-
right. All directors should review those forms and
Yeah.
confirm their accuracy, obviously, because
When I say
you have to sign.
it's just the name. It's
Oh, okay.
pre-filled out with her. No, we won't rely on Raquel and House. We're millionaires.
I was gonna say, how does Raquel know that information to fill it out? I was like, wow, you guys share a lot.
We are a high relationship group, no doubt about it. Okay. Okay, friends, questions about your 700? And I believe we mail it individually.
No, you go ahead and just turn it in to me.
Excellent, I like this. Okay, we good to go?
Have there been any changes?
Yeah,
Not-
yes, there have
Yeah.
been changes, and I'll get to that actually as part of D2 agenda item D2.
Very good. Okay, let's get excited about the 2026 legislation session update.
Oh, Alex, you got big
Wow.
presentation to do.
Yeah, I'd say lower your expectations a little bit, but so every year, so the legislator pretty much wraps up their legislative session around October. That's when all bills are formally adopted, and usually the governor does his vetoes sometime like end of October. So after October, our firm begins sending all the clients legislative memos on things that we think are relevant to our clients, right? So Raquel, Rachel, they'll receive formal memos from our office, like 2 to 3, 4 pages, describing a specific bill and its relevance to the district and what we have to do. Q1 of each each calendar year, I also like to present to the boards to highlight to them, in my opinion, what the most relevant bills are. So all clients are getting some similar presentation, but each presentation is tailored to the respective agency. I'll say for healthcare districts, it wasn't a particularly big year, not a lot of substantive amendments for healthcare districts, but let's go to the next slide and we'll start talking about some of the things worth highlighting. First, with respect to labor, and some of this stuff, by the way, is I'm making note of for staff's benefit too. So AB 692 states that a public agency can no longer enter employment contracts that require an employee to pay an employer back for a debt for employment, education, or consumer financial product costs if the employee terminates the relationship. This usually comes up when, let's say, an employee wants to get some kind of certification or they want to get some additional education, and the agency says, all right, we'll pay for it, but if you leave us within X number of years, you got to pay us back. That's no longer allowed. I know for your executive officer, which is the only employment contract I've reviewed for you guys, you don't have anything like that. But this is just, it's worth flagging for staff in case, I don't know if your employee handbook or anything has that. I don't think you have that practice. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel. You don't have a practice like that, correct?
We actually did. So
Okay.
one of the edits we'll be sending forward for the employee handbook will have a strikeout on that.
Okay, great. So that's, I'm glad we're noting that. So that's the first one. The second labor-related one is federal. It's not state, actually. It's actually called the Big Beautiful Bill Act. I thought that was just what President Trump referred to it as, but that's actually its name. Allows employees to claim a tax deduction for Qualified Fair Labor Standard Act overtime compensation. So in the 2026 tax year, employers, meaning the district, will need to extract qualified FLSA overtime from other forms of overtime on the 2026 employee wages and tax statement. So this is just something really I'm flagging for staff so that staff can be aware to check in with our bookkeeper and to make sure that we're handling that correctly with respect to overtime payments.
Okay, question. So
Yes.
this is interesting. If an employee has a total of 40 hours overtime and they're compensated for that, they get to deduct that or the difference between the regular wage and the overtime wage? How does this work?
That I
Would you like me to-
honestly,
Would you like me to tell you?
please, yeah, please, because I actually don't know how this
Because
works.
on the W-2s, there's often the overtime premium, so time and a half. So the half time is on the W-2. I pick it up and it's a deduction on the tax return below adjusted gross income.
So it's already at play?
It play for 25, and the 26 thing I think is that the employers are required to report it for the ease of the tax preparer.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Lazy tax repair.
So the employee isn't getting.
I'm sorry, was that what you would have said,
Okay, all right.
Alex?
I have no idea technically how this works. This is one of those technical things that only finance people know. I'm just flagging the law for us to talk about.
Okay, well, we have the right people in the room. Thank you for
Yeah.
explaining that. Okay, any questions on labor? Covered by these two things. Okay, Brown Act again. Hello, Brown.
Right. So we've already covered this. I just wanted to cover it in one slide and to phrase it a little bit differently because I got feedback recently that it was very confusing. So I wanted to phrase it in a way that's less confusing. So SB 707 for the district's purposes, really what it does is it expands your teleconferencing options for all of our board members. You've always had the traditional method. Now there's this disability option, which I don't think any of our board members have a disability, so we don't have to worry about that. There's the emergency option, which we aren't currently in, and there's the just cause option. So this is here's the rephrasing I'm doing to make the team aware. Now you can take advantage just cause, meaning you can participate remotely without putting your address on the agenda, without making your location open to the public, because you, one, have to take care of someone, two, have a physical or family medical emergency, three, have an immunocompromised family member, like let's say someone going through chemo or something, you have a physical or mental condition that's preventing you from participating, right? And that can be disability, or maybe it's not an ADA disability, but it's a condition. You're sick, you've got a cold or a flu. you're away on military service, or you're traveling for agency business, like you're going to a CSDA conference or something like that. So just in one slide, SB 707, just a reminder of like I think what the key takeaway is for this agency.
So
Any
Alex,
questions on?
if you,
Yep.
if you're traveling on other business, does that mean you can't participate?
Correct. If you're traveling on personal business, then you can participate, but under the traditional method. So under the traditional method, if you're traveling on, let's say, personal or your own professional stuff, you'll have to provide Raquel with the physical address of where you're going to take your meeting from. You'll have to make sure that that place is accessible to members of the public, and you'll also have to post an agenda at that location.
I have recalled several times when I'm in Chicago on a hotel, or at a hotel, that I've put a paper on the door so all of the public that live in California can go there if they choose. Is that okay?
That's exactly how we do it, correct. We usually do it like in the hotel lobby, and we'll just post it on like the door of the hotel or like somewhere near the lobby. Yeah, that's right. Any other questions on SB 707? All right, we can keep going. Okay, the changes to the Form 700. Under AB 1286, now a public official must disclose arrangements for prospective employment if employment with that employer has not begun as of the date of filing. Let me explain. They're trying to prevent corruption. And so think of it in this context. This doesn't really happen for healthcare districts, but this does happen for like maybe like a sanitary district or like a water district where you're about to leave office, and so upon leaving office, you're required to file Form 700 within 30 days of leaving office. Well, maybe someone that the agency is going to contract with is going to promise you employment 6 months out, right? What they're saying is basically, we want to know that because maybe you have a conflict of interest because you have this employer that technically you're not reporting because he's not or he or she is not your current employer, but they've promised you a job later. We want to know that to make sure that you're not giving that person any kind of favoritism when you're approving contracts and etc. So now, if you are going to file your Form 700 and you have some kind of employment agreement in the future, then you'll need to note that in your Form 700, and there's going to be a space for that. I don't know if it's in your, it should be in the existing Form 700, but it might be in the next iteration for 2027 because I think it went into effect this year. The other Form 700 edit is AB 1029. So beginning in 2027, right? So not this year, but next year, an investment before was just stocks often will now include digital financial assets like cryptocurrencies. So to the extent any of you are heavily invested in some kind of Bitcoin or something, now you'll have to report it. Any questions on the edits to the Form 700? No? All right, we can keep going. Public Works and Planning. AB 538 states that a public agency must obtain payroll records from contractors upon request of a member of the public, and the contractor has 10 days to comply. What they're getting at here is prevailing wage. So, this district is working on a public works contract, right, for one of your facilities. And if a member of the public or maybe, some kind of watchdog wants to make sure that the district's contractor is paying prevailing wage, they can now ask us, the district, for payroll records of our contractor, and we have to get those payroll records and provide it to that member of the public. So what we're doing on our end is we're just going to be updating our template agreements to make sure that contractually we include a provision in there to let the contractor know that if anyone makes that request of us, you have to give it to us so we can meet that deadline. So that's the public works end. On the planning end, this isn't super relevant to the district's work. I just thought it's interesting because it applies to a lot of people, because in California, ADUs and JADUs are the biggest source of housing development happening across the state. So the new law states that owner occupancy is only required for JADUs that have shared sanitation facilities. So just by way of background, for those who don't know, an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, is a way that people are building homes, and the max square footage is 1,200 square feet. A JADU is basically just an ADU, but it's 500 square feet max, and it has to be part of the single family home. So it can't be detached. It can't be like a garage that's going to be converted into a house, right? It has to be attached to the home. So JADU is max 500 square feet, and if it's attached to the home, you can treat it as a separate unit. You can rent it out separately, but if you're going to be renting it out, it has to be for a long-term rental. No short-term rentals in JADUs. A lot of there's this year specifically, again, not super relevant to Fallbrook, but I'm just noting it in case people have ADUs or JADUs. Substantial edits to the ADU JAD law this year. Just want to flag it. Next slide. Probably the biggest change is SB 827. And so I'm going to have two slides on it. This is a new training every director has to do. So like your ethics training and like your sexual harassment prevention training, there's a new fiscal and financial training. The reason this is coming about is because there's a state level watchdog that basically audits public agencies. And in their audits, they've found that a lot of elected officials don't understand how budgets work, can't read financial documents. So they said the solution that they proposed was, and that the legislator later adopted, is it's like very basic level 2 hours of financial training. This needs to be completed within 6 months of an elected assuming office, and once every 2 years thereafter. So just like ethics training. For all incumbents, it must be completed by January 1st, 2028. So you have about 2 years. This applies to all elected local officials. This applies to all department heads. So, like it's going to apply to Rachel. It's going to apply to me, even though I'm not a department head, but I'm an appointed official who has some role in the financial administration, budgeting, and or use of public resources. So it applies to me as well. Some agencies are adopting policies, basically stating we're going to do fiscal financial training. It's going to apply to the following positions at our district. In the same way you have a conflict of interest policy that identifies who has to file Form 700s, some agencies are also doing fiscal and financial training policies and who has to do those. I leave that to Rachel, whether or not you want to go that route, but I'm flagging it for you that this is a new requirement for all our elected officials. And then next slide. In the next slide, here's what it covers. It's a lot. And the subjects are very, very broad. I'm on the committee for the California League of Cities that's charged with putting the outline together. So I'm the only attorney on that committee, actually. It's all just finance experts and city managers. And we're putting basically an outline of like specifically, these are the general topics, specifically what the slides are going to cover. And it's a lot of info. It's going to be difficult to get it all done in 2 hours, but I think there's value here because as I was going through these slides and the information, there was things I didn't even know about public finance. So I think it's valuable for everybody. Next slide. And that's it. Short presentation. So if there are any
Very
questions.
informative. I think you picked really good things for us. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I've got a question. So Alex, on the financial training, you've mentioned the topics. Is this going to be a standard test or each agency develops something using those topics?
So the interesting thing about this one is that because the topics are so general, well, first let me answer your question and I'll tell you why it's interesting. The answer to your question is there are all the umbrella organizations, so CSDA, CSAC for the county, Cal Cities for cities, they're all developing their own training modules. CSDA already has developed their, CSDA is the first one actually, so they already developed their own. And I believe CSDA gave their first webinar on fiscal and financial training already. So these are being developed at the umbrella organization level, and then individual contractors are developing their own. So like, for example, our firm is also developing our own internal module based on those other, CSDA and Cal Cities examples. So
Are yours needing, or you have to send that to somebody and say, will you approve this or not?
no, there are individuals. So the statute provides people who are authorized to provide the training. One of the groups that are authorized to provide the training are legal counsel. So once we have that training set up, then like, for example, I'm authorized to begin giving the training. But the interesting thing about the training is the way it's looking, it's all kind of, because the subjects are so broad, it's not like ethics. In ethics, they specifically describe what the statute specifically describes what needs to be covered. Here, these are general topics. So we're seeing differences in the types of presentations that are being prepared based on who's preparing them. So CSDA's presentation, for example, is really heavy on auditing procedures and financial reporting. Cal Cities presentation covers public contracting in a lot more detail, for example. So it's interesting in that same presentation covering slightly different stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you. Exie, you'll get a good grade. Watch for it in the mail. Let your parents know. Okay, here we go. We have some consent items. Let's go all the way down so everybody knows what they are. There we go.
2 pages. Yes.
Are the consent items?
Yeah, it rolls on to the second page.
Oh,
So it goes from E1 to E6.
oh, I see. Okay, any requests for pulling a consent item? I have a motion to approve consent items.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you very much. On to discussion items. Finance Committee meeting pack and minutes. Ooh, we're so excited. Let's see what's going on with our money.
All good.
It's all good.
So Sally and I met with staff on March 11th, a week ago.
March 4th.
March, yeah. This is the 11th and I'm giving the report today. All right.
Just keeping this up.
So we met a new person.
Miss Olga
Yeah, and I want to hear you pronounce her last name.
Gorgovenko.
Wow.
Oh.
Good for you.
Practicing that. Listen, I got Gerasatano down. It took me longer.
That's good. So we're pleased to have Olga working with us.
And tell our audience your role.
So Olga takes the place of our contract bookkeeper. So she'll be assuming those duties as well as taking over a lot of the software roles, compliance with, contract information. Those are the main
Those
big
are the
ones.
main ones,
Yeah.
yeah. Contracts, software administration, and the bookkeeping components.
So as Marty left,
Not yet. We're thinking, Olga has caught on really quick. Susan's been, coming in each week as well. So we're thinking probably maybe next week will be Marty's last week.
Yes.
Or,
Yeah.
we figured through the end of March, but Olga's been catching on pretty quick. She came with a wealth of experience and Susan's been comfortable, with seeing how her work is moving as well.
and our last is lost in the art group's game because Marty's coming to work for us. So it all works out.
Good. All right. So Sally and I reviewed the balance sheet and our total current assets are 1,406,000. Our total fixed assets are 3,699,000. Our investments are $8,587,000. So our total assets are 13,693,000 or $94. So that's looking good. Our total liabilities are really relatively small. It's $84,484. Our total equity, those things that we own that we don't have to pay anybody about, is $13,629,444. Any questions about our balance sheet? All right. Number 2 is our profit and loss. July 1st. Actually, I'm doing it July 1st through January year to date. And our total income for those 7 months is $1,655,000. Our total expenses for those months is 1,389,000 or 390,000, and our net income was $536,145 for those 7 months. Questions about the P&L for that period of time? Okay, thanks. Then we're going to take a look at our budget, the profit and loss, actual versus budget. I've chosen to combine the administrative and wellness center. Our total income was $1,655,300 versus a budget of $1,680,000. I just want to comment that the budget or the actual is 98% of what we budget, and that's, I think, phenomenal. Good
Pretty
job.
close to the bullseye.
Yeah, pretty close to the bullseye. Couldn't get my.
So our total expenses for that period of time was $1,389,000 versus $1,899,000 in the budget, and we were budgeting actually a loss. And that was 73% of our budget, of the budgeted amount. Our net income for that period of time was $536,000 versus a negative of $218,450. So we surpassed our net income budget by about $754,000. Susan does a great job of making sure that our investments are in compliance with the regulations that we are under. And so we do have on page 10 a local agency investment fund, which we fondly call LAIF, And through January, through January, we had $390,041, which was 4.5% of our total portfolio. And the effective yield for that time was 3.93%. CalTrust, we have a much more money in CalTrust than either of the other two. We've got two funds with them, totaling $6,715,000, which is 78% of our portfolio. The 1-year yield for the one fund called medium term was 4.08%. And the other fund is called the liquidity fund, and that was 4.33%. I think they ought to switch.
Well, they just keep flip-flopping back and forth.
And
we'll see how it goes.
the third is California class for January 31st, and that was $1,482,000, which is 17% of our portfolio, and the 30-day yield for that fund was 3.78%. Any question about our investments?
I was
Thank
on
you.
a conference call today with trusts, and they spent an hour trying to calm everybody down. It was a nationwide.
Did they
Yeah.
calm you down?
I wasn't, I noticed right through it, but you could tell the room was going.
Yeah.
So I'm glad where our money is, because I think they have their heads on shoulders, and also that we're keeping an eyeball on it.
Yeah, and being that it's public money, and Judith made a good point at the last finance meeting, that while we report the yield, the primary investments are designed around safety because it is public money.
Yep.
So we may not maximize the yield as you may in your personal accounts, but the goal is that the money is safer.
Yeah.
And it's very conservative investing.
And it's working out.
Any other questions before we move to the next part of the finance? Good with that? Okay.
So the next part is the check detail, and it's 2 or 3 pages of checks. And what Sally and I do is we have signature rules in terms of how much Rachel can do and how many signatures based upon the amount of the check. So we're very careful about that, but we're also careful about looking at each of those checks and the attached invoices. So we're careful about that. Page 19, any questions about those, or the process that we go through to make sure that this agency is safeguarding our money? So on page 19, we have the 5-Star Bank credit card, and we do the same thing. Our balance for that month was $14,204, and Sally and I review those transactions. Sometimes we ask questions about some of the topics that the names that we kind of wonder about. We get answers from staff, and everything looked in order. Questions?
Has the expected relief from changing banks occurred?
No, we haven't changed the banks yet. We're letting Olga get fully acclimated. We have both accounts have been opened, but we're not going to do significant shifts on that for quite a bit. We want to make sure Olga's fully in place, and Judith is going to work with the county to make sure the property tax gets rolled over before we do any significant. So it won't be a fast change.
Good, I like that.
Report number 7 is our community development disbursements. And these are what you'd expect, primarily developing the wellness center. The total for that month, January, was $48,000. Some of the agencies that received disbursements were the county planning service, engineering companies, architecture, and mechanical. And all but $2,000 was for the wellness center. Questions? Thank you. So I think Rachel's gonna review a new report.
Actually, I'm not gonna, we're gonna bring that to next month's board meeting. It's gonna go to strategic planning first.
So Finance Committee reviewed something that's going to the Strategic Planning Committee next month.
We believe in over communicating.
And eventually probably winding up here.
Yeah, it'll come back to the board in April, for sure.
Before we go off this slide, can you tell us a little bit about Mission Road improvements? Or is that our address and then improvements is things that are going on with the health? Okay,
Correct.
so it's not the road.
Correct.
Okay, sorry, I overread that.
Yeah, we're not improving Mission Road. That's not our.
I was gonna say, what?
I mean, I'm sure the county would love for us to do it, but
We'll
no.
put in a little roundabout, okay. So, good to go on the financials. Okay,
That
thank
is
you
the
so
end
much.
of Sally and my report.
Very good. Thank you to you and the rest of the finance team. Appreciate it. And I believe we're gonna have a rollicking good time talking about clinical services that we might want to see the health district support in our community. Is that true?
That is the goal for this conversation. So, as the board knows, as community is being aware, we have been working to bring clinical services back into Fallbrook. The partners that we've been talking to have been diverse, broad, various. We have one group that we're working with now that brought a question to us of if they were able to bring first urgent care, which has been some concern. They also have a possibility of bringing in rotating specialists. Meaning that if the district, which we're indicating would be supporting this, what specialties seem to be of the most interest? Now, they'll have access to market data, that's fine. But they wanted to see if the board had any specific insights from community, if you've had any feedback specifically about people saying it's important that we have orthopedics. It's important that we have cardiology. What, have you had any feedback? Do you have any particular preference that you say, it's just not worth it for us to invest this time, money, and resource into a partnership if they can't bring neurology or whatever it is? I didn't necessarily say that I had heard anything from the board having specifics, but we're bringing it to the board to make sure that we're not overlooking anything.
Alex has his hand raised and we need to vote on F1.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry about that.
Alex?
He wants us to vote on it.
That was exactly, yeah. I was gonna say, well, I don't think we took public comment, nor did we vote on F1.
Right.
Thank you. Public comment on our finance report, public. You good? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the finance committee report? Second? Okay, you good? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for catching that.
Got so excited to talk about specialty care.
Yeah, there we go.
So really the question comes down to, does anyone have any specific questions or interest or hopes? Any guidance to, yes, Howard, thank you. Otherwise I was just gonna keep rambling.
We need cardiology. We need endocrinology for diabetes. We need mental health.
Well, the mental health part would be probably secondary because we already have that contract with Palomar at the Wellness Center.
Good.
And this is
Yeah.
primarily going to be the more traditional medical side of it.
Gotcha.
So
As a parent with kids,
peds,
kids, yes, I think it's really, I see that a lot of parents or moms are always asking for a doctor or a pediatrician. especially with special needs. I know OT is high demand, a lot of any of that with kids with just different disabilities, diagnosis, all of that stuff is
Right.
needed to survive.
I know that VCC is in town and does have pediatrics through VCC. I think,
It's quite limited for
It
like a
is-
parent when you're looking for the variety of things.
Mhm.
They don't
Okay.
have, they don't have a lot.
so from a specialty standpoint, would it probably be more for,
I mean, I don't know if it
OT.
falls under urgent care, but like when your sick kid is sick or throwing up in the middle of the night.
well, that's gonna be the urgent care,
Yeah.
conversation, bringing in more primary services for that.
Right,
But
it doesn't
being able to serve
specify
peds.
Pediatric care, most of the time when you walk in with a kid, then they split you up into whatever specialty falls into pediatric care. So I think with the clinical care, when you say pediatric, they then have subcategories to what they can treat our kids with.
Great, okay.
And-
Peds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
So I can't really tell you.
No, that's fine. And the parents in the room, that's what, I need,
Yeah.
because, you know, I'll tell you what chickens need, but not anybody.
I mean, is this something that could be addressed in the community needs assessment that is?
I think that this isn't a one and done conversation.
Yeah.
This is definitely just part of that initial offering. The conversation with this partner has been the expectation we'd roll out for basic services, but they're looking at us as a long-term relationship. So if we were to develop first, how could they begin to say, all right, well, in 3 years, we would like to be able to grow and build. And if the district already has a preference for pediatrics as primary or cancer care as primary or whatever, they might start to already think in their planning and they're investing in resources with that in mind.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that we'll get at and more layers of input as we move through.
Any thoughts, confirmed?
No, I like Howard's.
You like
I was gonna say this.
Well, I like Howard too, and I wanted to say, I
And
think,
for children as well.
yes, of course. I think,
Thank you,
urgent,
Cindy.
I think urgent care is gonna cover a whole swath for folks who don't have somebody in town to help them and it happens at midnight and you know, all that. So definitely that. I appreciate Howard's putting, endocrinology and cardiology on because we know those are the two health markers that if we can really, really support people to handle it well, leads to wellness, leads to less complications. So my absent community assessment, which points somewhere else, and that those are chronic. It's not like I broke my arm, I need you to set it, and then I'll go to PT. You know, this is ongoing care that people have to travel out of town when they're not feeling well and when they're frail and fragile. And so I like the idea of cardiology and endocrinology being kicked around the idea court.
And the fact is that they align with the lifestyle change programming.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That is the point I was making, but I didn't use that term.
I thought that's where you were going.
Yeah. And of course, a common Venn diagram there is nutrition, right? Which we're already spawning more and more of that with our kitchen that's coming in. So it's a nice set, an array of things.
Right. And the whole point has been, as we've explored these partnerships, is identifying services that the district does that your traditional healthcare setting doesn't have time, inclination, or funding to do. You don't see the CDC's diabetes prevention program that we run happening at hospitals and doctors' offices because they don't have the wherewithal, resource, whatever, to invest in a health coach for a year-long program to help people understand diet and movement and all of the habits that go in with that. So this should be truly complementary, and the partners understand that. They're excited about the idea that there's this great referral base, right? Someone comes in, they're pre-diabetic, they're having challenges related to that. They can give the advice of lose weight, exercise, eat better. Okay, well,
That's
here's your
knowledge.
script.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Instead, it's an instant referral to, here's a program that already exists in your town. So that's part of the goal and forefront to the conversation. So I will report that, back to the partners.
And they won't be surprised, will they?
I don't believe they will be surprised.
We didn't send tattoo removal.
Service. Why would you want to do that?
My point exactly.
Get a tattoo, I think. Annabelle and I are like, yeah, we're in.
Okay, any other comments? Anything from the audience on this topic? You are 4 touch points of.
I think Howard's point about cardiology, pretty much the services that are life-threatening, that takes 20 minutes or more to get to a hospital, I think is really what should be the main issue.
In the urgent care setting.
Yes.
Yeah.
My thoughts with oncology too. I know we mentioned cancer before, but just like having chemotherapy for people that have that, so they don't have to go all the way to Temecula or all the way to Escondido.
On a daily or 3 times a week basis, yeah. And that's been a conversation I've had with them. Obviously, one of our partners is Michelle's Place Cancer Resource Center. And there is very little service, even in Temecula, which has a population of, combined with, you start adding in Murrieta, you're 200,000 to 300,000 in that reach, and they have very few resources. So most of those folks are driving into Orange County proper. They're heading into La Jolla. God forbid they're having to go to Duarte for City of Hope. That's really, really challenging. It'd be nice if somehow Fallbrook became the perfect little nexus for Southwest Riverside County and this north inland. So those conversations are being had. So thanks for mentioning that. Good.
Okay, board member comments and items for subsequent meetings. Let's go with board member comments.
I appreciate Alex's presentations, not just tonight, but others. Really very good.
That was just discussion. Thank you for that. Others? Okay, well, I would like to acknowledge that Rains is here tonight, and thank you for being here as one of our partners. Appreciate that. Howard, can you give us an update on the senior wellness merger and what its new name is? People are like fumbling the name.
Yeah, even me.
The merge of the senior center and the Foundation for Senior Care has been completed. What is its name?
It is the Center for Senior Well-being.
Well-being.
I knew it.
Center.
And they've already got the wonderful new.
I
logo.
saw it. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
It's- But that happened on January 1, and as near as I can tell, the combination is really going well. I've talked with people. It's under the legal entity of the Foundation for Senior Care.
Technically, their legal name is the Fallbrook Healthcare Foundation.
That's right.
That's the true legal name of the entity.
And was that the name when they were the
Yes.
volunteers? Wow. So that's the legal entity. I've spoken with the senior center, on which I was on the board, and I'm now on the board of the center. They seem to be really happy.
I just hear everything's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, congratulations. You know, community nonprofits that merge, it's not always pretty.
Yeah.
Seen several, not here, but in other communities. So I congratulate all concerned.
We're really
Bravo.
optimistic. Rachel, they missed Rachel continuously, but we think Perla,
Rose done a great job.
yeah, is really sharp, and I think she will make this happen.
I'm seeing upcoming events and I see mindfulness for real life, the science of stress relief in Spanish, is it? Am I reading that correctly? Okay,
English and Spanish, right?
Correct.
yes, yes, very good. And food smarts for kids, getting into the family aspect, that's excellent. Thank you to the programmers. We appreciate it. Any other comments before we adjourn? We are adjourned. Bye, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
It's still the fastest board meetings in the West.
Good to see you all.